Welcome to In the Community.
We're joined with our special guest, Francesca Johnson, who is the recycling manager with our board. And Francesca, I'm going to read this because this is a mouthful. That's the Rappahannock Regional Solid Waste Management Board, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. And let's get into first, because I got a couple of questions for you, and then we got a big event to talk about and what all that is. But first, in a nutshell, if you can, when I think of our board or Rappahannock Regional Solid Waste Management Board, this is where we take our trash. This is where we take our garbage. This is where we dispose of things and recycle, correct?
Yes. And we are open to Stafford County and City of Fredericksburg residents.
Okay. And when we talk about that, immediately my mind goes to being green, to disposing of things the way we should. And that's why we have the centers like what we're talking about with our board. So if you could fill in some of the gaps on what people need to know, what they can bring there, because I think there's a lot of confusion when you start going, can I recycle this? Where do I take it to recycle that? Where do I take this if I'm taking it to, and I'm finger quoting here, the dump, which is what we normally talk about. Oh, I got to take the trash to the dump. But if you can fill in some of those gaps and intel for us.
Yeah. So we, since I am the recycling manager, of course, I'm going to, try to make sure we're diverting anything we can and recycling what we can. So I'll kind of start with that. So as far as recycling, it's amazing, how much we take. But generally, if you're just bringing, when you're going through your home and what you have, the best thing to do. So, of course, we take household trash. So that's, a given.
Right.
And then construction and debris we accept as well. So if you are doing work on your home, you can bring that as well. We do yard waste and yard debris. So a lot of people bring, you have a tree that comes down in your yard, we're able to take that. And the good news about that is when you're bringing in yard waste, it's actually mulched down. So, it is recycled. So that's a good thing to know. And then a lot of the calls we get, people are asking, like, where do I take my automotive batteries and things like that?
Right.
So we recycle a lot. Something new that we recently added, rechargeable batteries. So we want to make sure we are keeping those out of the landfill because the majority of rechargeable batteries, like lithium batteries, you're going to want to make sure, I'll only start over. That sounds bad. We'll have to probably cut that. But for rechargeable batteries, those are usually, your lithium rechargeable batteries. You want to make sure you are not putting those in your household trash because those can actually cause fires. So they're very dangerous. That's, especially, if they're going to the trash trucks, there's been instances of, trash truck fires and things from those batteries. So please keep those out. So that's part of the reason, we are offering free recycling for those at the landfill. We have at all of our locations at the Bellman Road Recycling Center, and then also the Eskimo Hill Road location, which is the regional landfill. We take those for free, no charge. And then we have a yellow, it's a fireproof container that you'll actually place those in. So that's something that we offer. We also offer automotive and equipment battery recycling, motor oil recycling, transmission fluid, antifreeze. And we do limit that to, 5 gallons per item, per resident per day, just to make it, so we're not getting, too much.
Sure.
We also take cooking oil. So if you want to bring, your used cooking oil as a resident, you're able to do that. Of course, scrap metals. So if you have like washers and dryers and things like that, we take those in no charge. Refrigerators as well, lawnmowers, any type of lawn equipment with a small engine will accept. Electronic waste too. So that is something that the Aquia Harbor Lions Club, they actually do all the recycling for the electronics. And the best part is they are able to recycle that. They get, they raise money for that or get it's a fundraising opportunity for them. So it's really good. So it's nice, not only are you helping the environment, but you're helping the Aquia Harbor Lions Club to be able to put the money back into the community to help people. So they do things like they donate money to serve, and they help people pay their electrical bills and food donations and things like that. So it's such a wonderful program. So, if you have any type of electronics like laptops, computer towers, old tablets, old gaming systems, anything like that, they can actually get recycled. And inkjet cartridges and printers and all that, and printer cables as well. So all that's recyclable. We also accept plastic bags. We do have a clothing and shoe donation bin too. So, we always try to get reuse out of that by diverting it and having that donation bin. And then we do fruit and vegetable scrap collection, and that actually gets composted. So that's another thing, and I know I've covered a lot. So
yeah, well,
it's amazing, how much we take.
that is, that's a great laundry list. And there's a couple ones that weren't on there that I'm going to ask you about in a second. But let's talk real quick. Is there a website that we can point people to that gives them a lot of breakdown? Because I know when I'm scrambling around trying to, and it happens more and more, it seems, trying to figure out where I can take something to either dispose of it properly, because we don't want it necessarily harm the environment, of course. And then some of those other benefits that you outlined, whether it's trash or whether it's recycling. What website or resource can we point folks to right now?
Yeah, you'll definitely want to come to our website. So it's r-board.org. So on that website, the best portion for residents to go to, it just says residents. If you click on that, you can go to frequently asked questions, recycling, accepted landfill materials. That will give you all the information that you need.
And when you mention composting, that's fascinating to me, because that's a really cool way to dispose of stuff. But I know some people do it themselves, don't they? They do their backyard composting.
Yes, yeah, backyard composting. We actually, and it's funny because people, when they hear backyard composting, I know they get really scared and they're like, oh no, that, sounds like a lot of work. It sounds like it's going to be really hard, really difficult. It's actually very, very easy. So we have a lot of people that do backyard composting in the community. And because of that, we actually offer backyard composting classes.
Oh, wow.
So those, we have our master gardener, Jonathan Stevens. He volunteers his time to lead those. And those are at the Central Rappahannock Regional Library System. So we have usually one once a month. And, you can get all the details on our website. We always have them listed. But it's wonderful because he'll go over, he breaks it down, and he lets you know how easy it is, what you can put in there, and then just, all the troubleshooting. So I highly recommend attending one of those. And the best part is once you do one of those classes and you complete it, you can come to our admin office in Stafford, and you're able to get a free compost bin, no charge to you. That is covered through a Virginia Department of Environmental Quality grant that we received. So we received grant funding for that. So you get a free compost bin, and then there's even a free kitchen scrap food collector that we offer.
Wow.
And it has handouts and different information to kind of just, get you going and get you started on the compost journey.
We're talking with Francesca Johnson, who is the recycling manager with our board, and that's Rappahannock Regional Solid Waste Management Board, serving, and correct me if I'm wrong, Francesca, we're talking about Fredericksburg and Stafford, yes?
Yes, yeah, and I'll just clarify that it's the city of Fredericksburg, because that's the interesting thing. I know, because Fredericksburg can be, the city of Fredericksburg. It can be Stafford County or even Spotsylvania County.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting.
Yeah, you always get those zip codes and it'll say Fredericksburg and you're like, but wait a minute, isn't that Stafford? And there's that confusion type of stuff for sure.
Yep.
What about, and I have a personal interest in this because I got some paint. We're getting ready to move, and I was just curious, do you dispose of, or do you take paint, like household paint, latex paint, wall paint, stuff like that?
Yes, we do. So you can bring that to our the regional landfill. It's accepted at the regional landfill at 489 Eskimo Hill Road in Stafford. So we can accept it as long as it's latex-based paint.
Okay.
So that'll be a $5 per visit charge for that. So make sure you clean out your garage and bring all of your latex paint at once. That way you can really make it go further. So you're not having to pay all the different costs.
And you covered the paint aspect. The next one I'm going to ask you, because this is a big thing, my wife in our household, because I always have a billion light bulbs. I always tend to change them out. We've flipped everything to LEDs, and then they're not quite the right. I got the soft white versus the daylight, and then I switch them around. And all of a sudden, I got these bins of light bulbs that my wife yells at me all the time and says, get these out of the house. Do you take them, and how do they properly dispose of things like whether they're standard incandescents or LEDs or fluorescent light bulbs? Can you, and this is a pun coming your way, Francesca, can you shed light on what we do with those bulbs?
Yes, I can. So for those, for the fluorescent light bulbs, and the compact fluorescent ones, so usually those are kind of like spiral. Those, you want to make sure you are getting those recycled. We accept them at the regional landfill, and we can accept, if you have the longer ones, we can accept up to 4 feet. So if it's 4 feet or smaller, we're able to take those. And then the compact fluorescents as well. So those, you want to make sure you're recycling. We accept them. I know usually, like, I think Lowe's and Home Depot and some of the, other home improvement stores will accept those as well if you're not able to get out to us, or if we're not in your service area, you're able to take those there. Now the regular incandescent ones, those can actually go into the regular household trash.
Oh, okay.
Because they don't have the harmful chemicals in them.
Right, and that's why it's so important that you do dispose of that stuff properly, because it can get into soil. It's not good for the environment. There's all of those ancillary things that can, be a real negative impact. And when we talk about the overall, like, recycling, dispose of your waste properly, do you have suggestions on what we can do as consumers to be, and I'm going to finger quote this, but to be more green? Because I am a militant recycler in our household. Holly, my wife, was what I would call a moderate recycler. And now that, since we've been together the last 12 years, I think I've impacted her, because now she's going behind some of her family members and grabbing things that they're not recycling and making sure that they come home with us so we can make sure that they get disposed of properly or recycled. What can we do as consumers, Francesca, that might help us all kind of be a little more green and help the environment and the planet?
Yeah, there's so many ways, and you can, really make a big impact, even if it's something small. So definitely one of the easiest ways is by doing, single stream recycling, because it's so easy. The best thing is, it's so easy. All you do, and the thing is, I love it, because the great thing about recycling is you are not going to have your trash can overflowing. So at my household, we are a family of 4, and our recycling, we have, it's the same size as our trash can that they come by and get curbside, is always as full or it's usually fuller than our trash can. So that way you don't have that overflowing trash. But you can do, I always tell people to start, like with soda cans. Those are the easiest, make sure those are empty. Plastic water bottles, if you're using the disposable ones, those are great to put in there. Even like milk jugs. A lot of people don't realize that milk jugs and laundry detergent jugs, that plastic is in very high demand, and as long as it's empty, you can just toss that right in your recycling bin, put the lid back on, toss it in there. And then, of course, glass and paper, too. I love throwing my junk mail in there. That's the first thing I do when I get it. I'm like, oops, don't need that. Throw it right in the recycling bin.
Wow, that's a great one. Yeah, I never even thought about that. I just said I'm a militant recycler in the household, and yet most of the junk mail winds up in the trash. We should be getting that into recycle bins.
Yep. That's what we do, and it's great because, that way it's already taken care of.
Wow, I never even thought about that. See, the things you learn. And I was wondering, do you when you mentioned single stream recycling, and that, because I see that when I'll see something on the side of the bin says single stream recycling. Exactly, in a nutshell, what is that?
Yeah, it's so they used to be you had to separate everything out, but like plastic, glass, metal, all of that. But now everything can go in the same bin because it's getting sorted at the facilities now. So it's way easier for consumers because you're just, getting it all in your recycling bin, and then it gets sorted once it arrives to the recycling facility.
Got it.
So that is always going to be like your plastic, your metal, your glass, and your paper. And I just tell people really just to stick to like drink containers because because it kind of gets all the confusion out of it.
Right.
Mostly your drink containers are going to be the easiest way.
And I don't know if you did mention specifically, but I'm going to, and I hope I'm not talking out of school, but what's the policy on pizza boxes? Because I know that for a while there, the understanding was they were not recyclable, and then it seems like they became recyclable. So if you have a pizza delivered from your favorite pizza establishment, is that or is that not something you can bring there and recycle?
Well, it depends. And this is for, I call this, so for pizza boxes, if you're a super recycler and you want to do the extra work, it can be recycled. So the way you're going to do that is generally the bottom half of the pizza box is going to be discarded because it's going to be covered in grease and things like that. So it's going to cause mold and things at the facilities. So you're going to throw that part in the trash. But if you rip off the top part, and there's no cheese debris or any grease, then you would be able to recycle that.
Okay, so it can't have any residual food on it, and then you're good to go.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, and I've got in my notes here 2 words, zero waste. And I mean, to me, that says no trash if I literally translate it. But what can you shed light on zero waste?
Zero waste is kind of like more of a lifestyle. So it's you as a consumer reducing the waste that you generate and kind of starting off by, thinking even before you're buying, being more conscious of, things you're buying and then how you're processing your waste that's generated at your home. So a lot of people, one of the biggest ways to make an impact is instead of buying like a 24 pack of water bottles, you could buy a reusable water bottle and then, use filtered water from your tap, really just depending on how you get your water, using those reusable water bottles. And there's so much now, like at all the stores, it's so easy. Like one of the things I do for my children's lunch is instead of sending them with Ziploc bags, there's actually reusable bags now. So it's like a silicone material and they, zip up like that. There's even ones I've seen where people use like cloth ones that you can wash and things like that. So there's so many different options, to where you're able to reuse everything, which is nice and not, generating as much waste.
Absolutely. No, that makes sense. It sounds like a catchphrase and kind of buzzwords because we are zero waste. Oh, that must mean zero trash. But there is some meat to that when you start fleshing it out. Let's talk about the event, the Household Hazardous Waste. This is going to be a mouthful again, Francesca. The Household Hazardous Waste Disposal and Electronics Recycling Day. And again, this is for the city of Fairfax and for Stafford County.
Yep. Yeah, it's a free event for residents of the city of Fredericksburg and Stafford County. And we are holding that on Saturday, September the 7th at the Stafford Regional Airport. It'll be 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. And what you're going to want to do, that's going to be pretty much what I like to tell people is things that are underneath your sink or in your garage. So like gasoline, we'll be taking oil, paint thinner, oil-based paints or oil-based stains we accept as well. So you have like furniture stain, wood polish, pesticides, herbicides, pool chemicals as well. If you have a pool at home and you have like all those pool chemicals, we'll be accepting those. And then, of course, the electronics, so like cell phones, laptops, iPads, printer cartridges, computer cables. And then one thing to note, too, we do accept propane tanks. So for those propane tanks, those are going to be like the small camping ones that you use on your camping stove or the ones that you have on your barbecue grill. It usually says like under 20 pounds.
Yes.
So we'll be accepting those. But if it's over that, the larger ones, we're not able to accept that. And then, of course, no biohazards will be accepted, no oxygen tanks, no medical waste or no TVs or old computer monitors. Those won't be accepted.
Okay, so there are some footnotes here as far as, because you hear electronics like what you're saying. You hear cell phones, laptops, iPads, printer cartridges, computer cables. That, yes, but not everything. You can't bring the old cathode ray tube, the old school monitors and stuff like that.
Exactly, yeah. You can't bring those. And then, like, no vacuum cleaners or anything like that. We've had people in the past bring those. So it's kind of more like computer stuff is we're talking about electronics.
I was gonna ask what are some of the most common things that people do bring that they can't bring? I mean, I know you've already outlined a few, but are there those things that people show up every day saying, "Oh, I brought this," and you guys don't take it?
Yeah, the TVs is a big one. So the TVs we're not able to take. And then I'm trying to think of some other ones. We sometimes have people who try to bring like old ammunition. We're not able to accept that. If you do have old ammunition, sometimes if you have a local gun range, they may be able to accept it, or they may know of a place locally that can take it. And then also your local ATF office may be able to accept it, or possibly a fire station, depending on what locality you live in.
Because that's a very specified thing. That's a very specified stuff. That's very specified stuff that has to be disposed of, and you can't just take that anywhere.
Exactly. Yes.
Let's get, Francesca, to the website again. I want to point everybody in a direction. Can we just go to r-board.org and sort of navigate from there, or do we need to put / and other things in?
I would just say go to r-board.org. That's going to be the easiest way. And then you can kind of, because we have it laid out really well, so you can just, find out what you're looking for. And then if you can't find the information you need, definitely feel free to give us a call. We would be happy to help you out with any of your questions that you have.
Talking with Francesca Johnson, recycling manager at Rappahannock Regional Solid Waste Management Board. Like you say, r-board.org, and you can kind of, because I'm playing with it as we speak right now. And and this is going to kind of sound like, I don't know, it might even be a silly question, but how does one, if they want to, and I'm a fan of the environment, how do you sort of prevent litter? Is there anything, do you have a program or any tips you have that we can kind of, because I'm telling you, I'll go and pick up stuff that's floating around in my neighborhood and I see it come out of somebody's recycle bin, I grab it, put it in mine. That's sort of the simple stuff. But do you have advice or resource to talk a little bit about how we can sort of eliminate the problem? Because we see it all day long. We see stuff that should be recycled floating around. We see trash here and there. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, we've found really two of the biggest ways. So you want to make sure that the lid on your recycling bin or your trash can are completely closed. Because a lot of times if they're not, animals can get into them and start, breaking the bags and stuff goes everywhere. That's one way. And then also tell people too, don't put loose trash in your trash can, because when it's getting dumped, a lot of times those trash trucks, a lot of them are automated, so if they're dumping and it's not in a bag, it has more of a chance of kind of blowing away.
Yeah.
So that's one big way. And then the second thing too, a lot of the roadside litter that we're seeing is unsecured loads. So people, maybe wondering, what is an unsecured load? So if you're on your way to the landfill, you want to make sure that you have your load covered. So, you can use the tarping system, or, just making sure that things as you're kind of loading and making sure it's strapped down and tied down, because not only is it an environmental concern, but it's also a safety concern, because if you're driving, you have your pickup truck and it's not secure, things can come out, and that can be a danger to those on the road with you. So always make sure you have your load secured.
And I will say, I'm looking at the website right now, and I just clicked on a link that says it's easy being green, and you have several different subcategories to that, which can also be very, very helpful. It's plant a tree, stop junk mail, don't litter. It's kind of exactly what we were talking about. Some ways that you can kind of have a positive impact on the environment, and before it becomes stuff that we have to take to dispose of or recycle, you can almost eliminate some of that stuff, which can be very, very helpful as well.
Yes.
And there's a lot of great resource here at r-board.org, the website. And I just clicked on It's Easy Being Green. A lot of great topics in there to help as well. But let's circle back to the big event. I want to get the word out. Saturday, September 7th. That is going to be here before you know it at Stafford Regional Airport, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The Household Hazardous Waste Disposal and Electronics Recycling Day. And again, this is for City of Fredericksburg residents and Stafford County residents. And Francesca, as you were outlining all the details of what can and what can't be accepted, and and all of that. When I look at this day, and I think we all kind of live in this world where we have stuff and we accumulate stuff. We were talking about oil-based paint, paint thinner, wood polish, all the stuff, as you said, under your sink that we need to get rid of, but we don't quite know what to do with it, so it just sits there for the longest time. This is a great way to clean out the house.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and it's a good time, and thankfully things are cooling off, so hopefully everyone will be able to get their garages cleaned out.
Absolutely. Load it up and take it. Listen, thanks so much for the time, Francesca. We appreciate it. Francesca Johnson, the recycling manager at Rappahannock Regional Solid Waste Management Board. And again, this is our board serving Fredericksburg City and Stafford County. Thanks, Francesca, for the time this morning, and I'm sure the event will be a huge success. I am Fredericksburg City, so I will see you there. And we'll have you again on real soon to give us the latest updates.
Yes, yeah, thank you so much, and we appreciate you having us.